Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the first of our four-part 2026 Financial Foundation Summer Webinar Series, hosted by the Wellspire Rising Gen Committee. My name is Barrett Scott, and I'm so glad that you're all here. We have a great webinar on tap for today. Whether you're joining as a teen, a young adult, a parent, or just someone who wants to feel confident about money, this session was built exactly for you. Today's session is called the Financial Wellness Strengthen Your Money Habits. And here's what you're going to get over the next 45 minutes to an hour. Four items: a clear, simple definition of what financial wellness actually means and why it matters at every age and income level. Three core habits that support better everyday financial decisions and long-term well-being. A real look at how families can talk about money, how to help without hurting your own foundation. And then lastly, one specific action item at the very end of the presentation that you can take tonight to start building financial confidence. So we're so excited to get into it. There will be a Q&A session, a question and answer session at about the 45-minute mark, where our presenters, Andrew and Jameel, will take your questions live. So if you want to start dumping your questions in the chat feature in Zoom now or throughout the conversation, we'll try to get to as many of those as possible. Leading today's session are two members of the Wellspire Advisors financial wellness team. Andrew Lendnal is our head of financial wellness and an author of two personal finance books, including the award-winning How I Accidentally Turned My Kids into Financially Entitled Monsters. Joining Andrew will be Jameel Branch from the Wellspire Financial Wellness Program as well. Between the both of them, they've helped thousands upon thousands of individuals and families build stronger financial foundations. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to them now. Andrew and Jameel, please take it away.
Great. Thank you very much, Barrett. Thank you so much and welcome everyone. We're really glad you're here today. And here's something I want to open with because I think it's true for almost everyone watching right now. Most people don't really struggle with money because they're bad at math. They don't struggle because they don't earn enough. It's really that they struggle because no one ever showed them how money actually works in real life. And not the theory, not the textbook version, the actual everyday habits and routines that either quietly build financial confidence over time or quietly drain it. And that's what today's about. And so Jameel and we're going to teach it to you in a way that actually sticks. And here's what we're covering in the next 45 minutes, just to build on a bit more of what Barrett told you. We're going to define what financial wellness actually means, not in a corporate, jargon heavy way, but in plain language you can use every day. And we're going to teach you three habits. One, awareness, two, intentional spending, and three, automation. And that change how money feels in your daily life. And we're going to talk about something that doesn't come up enough in financial education. How to navigate money conversations with your family. And we're going to then follow one person, someone most of you are going to recognize through all of it. And then all questions go to the last 15 minutes of the call, as Barrett mentioned. We'll make sure we get to as many as we can. And as Barrett mentioned, please feel free throughout the conversation today. Make sure you're dropping those in the chat and we'll be sure to see it. So the first question that I have, Jameel, are we ready to go?
Ready, let's go.
Fabulous. So let's move to the next slide, please. So meet Alex. And before we talk about habits, I want you to introduce you to Alex. So Alex is a 22-year-old, just got their real job, $14 an hour, which felt incredible for on day one. But then the first paycheck hit the account and Alex actually screamed. first real money that was ever experienced, first real independence. However, by Sunday of that week, half of it was gone, and Alex had no idea where. So now, here's what I want you to understand about Alex right from the start. Alex is not bad with money. Alex is not irresponsible or careless. Alex just never learned the habits. Does this feel sort of familiar? And that is not Alex's fault because almost nobody teaches this. Schools don't, most parents don't, not because they don't care, but because nobody taught them either. So what we're seeing here is the pattern keeps repeating generation to generation to generation. So here's what Alex's financial life looks like right now. Alex pays for everything with Apple Pay. It's fast, it's frictionless, and it's almost invisible. There's no moment of wait, should I? It just happens. And Alex has 4 subscriptions: Netflix, good old Spotify, Hulu, and a gym app. Uses 2 of them. The Hulu account hasn't been opened in 4 months. And the gym app sends notifications every morning that get dismissed without reading. So Alex loves the family as well, wants to help financially, but doesn't know how to do that without derailing their own goals. And so nobody has ever had that conversation openly with Alex. So Jameel, when you hear Alex's story, what strikes you the most? What's intriguing to you?
What strikes me is how universal it is. I hear this story constantly, not just from 22-year-olds, but from people in their 30s and 40s who are still carrying the same patterns. They've never been given a clear picture of where their money goes. And without that picture, everything else is just guesswork.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing that I think gets overlooked. That anxiety Alex feels every Sunday when the money is gone. That's not a personality flaw. That's more of what happens when you're operating without information. It's not a character problem. It's an awareness problem.
Which is why habit one is what it is. Everything we're going to teach today builds on getting that first clear picture. Once Alex can see it, really see it, everything becomes possible.
Yeah, and that's exactly where we're going. Everything we cover today, every habit, every example, you're going to see it through Alex's eyes. Because by the end of this session, Alex is going to be a completely different, be in a different place, and so are you. So I think this is a great segue. If we can move to the next slide, please. Really defining what is financial wellness. But before we get into the habits, we want to define what we're building towards. Because if we're spending 45 minutes on financial wellness, we should agree on what that actually means. And it's not the corporate definition, not the complicated one. So again, I'm head of financial wellness here at Wellspire. And so to really bring that definition down a notch or two, financial wellness really equals feeling in control of your money instead of your money controlling you. And 3 things make that feeling real that you can see in front of you. It's control, it's confidence, and it's clarity. So if we take a look at each of these in turn, control means you know where your money is going. And it's not a vague sense, an actual picture, and it's a clear view. So right now, Alex doesn't have that. Alex earns a paycheck, watches it disappear, and has no map of where it went. That is the absence of control, and the anxiety it creates is real, even if nothing is technically wrong. So think about what control feels like on the other side. You check your account and the number makes sense. Tick. You're not surprised. You know what's coming in, you know roughly what's going out, and you're not holding your breath every single time you open the app. So now let's take a closer look at confidence. And confidence, what that means is you can make financial decisions without second guessing everything, without the anxiety spiral, without the guilt hangover, without the guilt hangover. So Alex can't say yes to dinner with friends without quietly doing math the whole time. Alex can't buy something nice without feeling either guilty about spending it or resentful about not spending it. And so that's not a character flaw. That's what life looks like without financial confidence. And so when you have confidence, you know your numbers well enough that a decision like going out to dinner isn't a crisis. You say yes because you know you can. You say no because you've decided something else matters more. Both feel clean. So now let's look at the third concept, and that concept is clarity. And what clarity means is your spending actually that reflects what you are about, not what's convenient, not what's on sale, what you value. So Alex wants to help the family. Alex wants to feel secure. Alex wants to enjoy life, going out, having fun, not just grind and save. And all of those are legitimate values. But right now, Alex's spending doesn't reflect any of them. It reflects habit, default, whatever was easiest in that moment. And so clarity really changes that. So control, as I mentioned, confidence, clarity, three feelings, and they lead to three outcomes. And you get to all three through habits, small daily decisions that you start making intentionally instead of automatically. And so that is what the next 30 minutes is going to be about. We're going to start taking a closer look at each of the habits. So if we can move to the next slide, please, where we're going to take a closer look at habit one, which is awareness. So habit number one, this is the habit most people skip because it sounds too simple to matter. You don't care. You don't think it's anything major. And it is not too simple. It is the foundation. Everything else is built on it. So you can't change what you can't see. And awareness is the foundation of every good money habit. So let me explain what's actually happening when money disappears. It doesn't actually disappear. It goes somewhere. The problem is that the way we pay for things today makes spending almost completely invisible. Why? You tap your phone, you click buy, you set up a subscription, and none of it feels like real money leaving, right? It's not in your hands. And so your brain doesn't register it as a real decision. So think about the last time you paid with cash. I'm struggling. I really am. You know, that physical act of actually, I don't know, handing over bills, counting them out, watching the number get smaller, that creates somewhat of friction. And your brain pays attention, it registers something just happened. Now, think about Apple Pay. You hold your phone near a reader for, I don't know, half a second, and you walk away, no friction. And then your brain barely registers it at all. Again, it's same money, completely different psychological experience. And then if we take a closer look at some of the subscriptions that Alex had, subscriptions are even more invisible. You signed up for something 6 months ago, you gave them your card number, and now every month a charge appears that you've stopped seeing, and it's just simply background noise. So, Jameel, I've got another question for you. I know you've done this awareness exercise with a lot of people. You know, we've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of people. So, Jameel, what do they usually find when they actually sit down and take a closer look?
Almost every single time, there's at least one subscription they completely forgot about. It's become so automatic, they don't even see it on the statement anymore. And when you point it out, the reaction is always the same: genuine surprise, then a little frustration, then relief. Because once you see it, fixing it takes about 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's what we're exactly seeing what's happening with Alex, right? So let me walk you through, Alex's blind spots, because I guarantee at least one of these is going to feel familiar to you on the call today. So if we pinpoint the gym app, right? So he's got $14.99 a month, never opened, not once. The app sends motivational notifications every morning. Ping. Alex dismisses them without even reading and goes about the day. So now if we keep going down that list, we look at Amazon. He's spending $23 that Alex has absolutely no memory of. Could be anything, could be a phone case, could be a book, a Kindle, something that seemed important at 11 p.m. and arrived 3 days later to complete indifference. Okay, now here's a fan favorite, DoorDash, right? So $47, quite a big spend there. This one surprises people when we bring this one up as an example, but it's 4 or 5 orders, 2 late nights, 1 rainy day, 1 time cooking felt genuinely impossible. Each one felt fine in the moment together, but then they add up to almost $50 Alex never consciously decided to even spend. So if we keep pulling this thread a bit further, now let's take a closer look at Spotify. And so Spotify is $11. And here's the part that stings. Alex also has the free version. I know I've got the free version. I think I've got the paid version too, by the way. So it still does upgraded, to premium because the ads were annoying. Those ads are annoying for sure, but never cancel the free account. Okay, another fan favorite, Hulu, $18. So Alex watches everything on Netflix. Has not opened Hulu in 4 months. Okay, something to write down there. And then the total, $113 a month. Gone, spent, without a single purchase Alex actually cared about. So back to you, Jameel, when Alex actually looks at that list for the very, very first time, what's the intervention that needs to happen by Alex?
None. Looking actually is the intervention. The act of seeing it clearly is itself what changes things. Because once Alex looked at the list, no lecture, no budgeting app, no willpower required. The gym app got canceled in 30 seconds. Hulu was gone that afternoon. 2 subscriptions, $32 freed up just from looking.
Yeah, that's the whole habit, right? It's not a budget. It's not a complicated system. In essence, you need 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, and the willingness to look. And that's it. And here's some tips, right? Set a timer. Open your bank account or credit card statement. Look at last month's transactions, not to judge yourself. Do not judge yourself. Not to fix everything at once, just to see, taking a closer look. And you will find at least one thing that surprises you. And just seeing it, that's where everything begins. So, Jameel, I think it's time for you to take us to habit two. So, if we can move to the next slide, please, to take a closer look at habit two.
Thank you, Andrew. Habit two. And I want to clear something up right away. This habit is not about cutting things out. It's not about deprivation or saying no to everything you enjoy. Habit two is called intentional spending. The entire idea, make sure what you spend actually connects with what you care about, putting your money where your values are. Smart money isn't about spending less, it's about spending better. Here's the pattern I constantly see. Someone buys coffee every morning like clockwork, not because they love it, not because it's a meaningful ritual, but because it's what they do. It's automatic. Remove the decision, coffee appears, move on. Other examples. Someone clicks add to cart at 10 p.m. and doesn't think about it again until the package arrives, and they're mildly confused about what they actually ordered. And another example, someone splits the bill evenly with friends, even though they had a salad and the two people had steak and 3 rounds of drinks. And they say nothing because something feels awkward about saying something. None of these are terrible decisions in isolation, but together they build a spending pattern that has nothing to do with what the person actually cares about. So, Andrew, you talk to a lot of people about this. What's the most common thing they say when they actually look at their spending and ask, does this matter to me?
Oh, Jameel, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell you, but I guess the most common thing I hear is really some version of, I didn't even realize I was spending that much on it. Not shame, it's they're not showing guilt, just surprise. And then they start asking themselves, if I had the money back, what would I actually do with it? And that question, what would you do with it, is where the real values work starts. And that's because the answer tells you everything about what actually matters to that person.
And that's the shift this habit creates, right? You go from spending reactively, whatever's convenient, whatever's in front of you, to spending intentionally. The purchase might be identical, but the relationship is completely different.
So I know you love coffee, Jamil. So the coffee example is perfect for this, right? So there's nothing wrong with buying coffee. By the way, I don't drink coffee, but anyway, every morning. If you genuinely love it, I don't, but if you do, if it's part of a ritual that matters to you, if it brings real joy, that's intentional spending. But if you're buying it because, hey, it's Tuesday or it's Wednesday, and that's just what happens on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, that's reactive. Same coffee, completely different financial relationship.
Here's the one question that changes everything. Does this actually matter to me? And coffee matters to me, right? So that's intentional
Yeah.
spending on my part. Not is this a good deal? Not will this impress someone? Just does this actually matter to me? If the honest answer is yes, spend without guilt. Full stop. You looked at it clearly and it matters. Buy it and enjoy it. Simple. If the honest answer is honestly no, that is the moment you take your power back. Alex applies this habit and discovers something interesting. Alex was buying lunch out 4 days a week, not because the food was amazing, not because it was particularly enjoyable, just because it was easy. And because it was Alex had always done this at his job. Alex asked the question, does this actually matter to me? The honest answer, not really. Alex would rather have the money. So Alex brings lunch twice a week now. Still buys lunch out twice a week also, because sometimes it genuinely matters. Sometimes it's a social thing worth keeping. But the automatic, thoughtless habit gets replaced with a choice, an important choice. $80 a month back in Alex's pocket, not through deprivation, through intention. And we're going to cover habit three. Habit three, this is the most overlooked and honestly the most powerful because it removes you entirely from the equation. Here's the honest truth about why most saving intentions fail. Willpower, not a lack of caring, not bad character. Willpower is a limited resource. For every human being, we make hundreds of decisions every day. By the time we get to, should I put money into savings this week? We're depleted. We delay. We say, well, we'll do it next week. The next week becomes next month, and the intention just quietly disappears. The willpower runs out, but systems don't run out. So we're trying to create a system here. The solution is simple. Really remove that decision. Set up one automatic transfer from your checking account to a savings account. Any amount, really any amount. $5 a week, 10, 25, whatever fits your life right now, any amount. Set it once. It transfers automatically every single week. Whether you're thinking about it, whether you're motivated, whether you even remember it exists, it's automatic. Andrew, I want to ask you something directly because I know some people watching are going to hear $5 a week. That's not worth the effort. What do you say to that?
You always have to ask me the tricky questions. I say the amount is almost besides the point. What you're actually building when you set up that automatic transfer is really a relationship with saving. And so you're teaching your brain that saving is something that just happens. And it's not something that requires a difficult decision every single week. And once that relationship is established, increasing the amount is easy. So starting is a hard part. $5 is hopefully how you start.
Great. And the math compounds really quickly. $5 a week is $260 in a year. $10 is $520 in a year. $25 is $1,300, and $50 a week is $2,600. All with a single decision after the first one. All without a single decision without the first one. Excuse me.
Well, Jameel, you're always a mathematician. So what we're saying here is Alex sets up a $20 weekly transfer on a Tuesday evening, takes 4 minutes, only 4 minutes, forgets about it completely by Thursday, and then voila, 12 months later, over $1,000 saved. More than Alex has, at this point in time in his life, had ever had. And Alex genuinely cannot remember actively saving any of it.
So that's not magic. That's a system at work. The system is what's important here. Andrew, let's pull all three habits together.
Well, I think it's time. If we can move to the next slide, please, and then I'll provide a quick three habits recap. So here's where we are, right? We've talked about these three habits. Each one builds on the last. So going from left to right, habit one is all about awareness. So again, as a recap, you can't change what you can't see. You know where every dollar goes. Check in even once a month. So visibility changes behavior. So we move to the next pillar, habit two, and that's intentional spending. And again, that's ask, does this actually matter to me? And align your money with your values. Spend with purpose, not with guilt. And then we go to the next pillar, which is habit three. And that's automation. And remove the decision to save. Even $5 a week builds that habit, and systems beat willpower, always. So simple, real, they compound over time. And I think before we move on, Jameel, let's have a quick conversation about the part of this that doesn't show up in most financial education. And that's really the family money conversations around all of this. So Jameel, one thing we haven't touched on yet, and it came up in Alex's story, is the family piece, to the pull to help financially. How do you think about that?
Yeah, this is a tough one. It's one of the most emotionally complex parts of personal finance. Truly, honestly. Because wanting to help your family isn't a financial problem. It's a value, a beautiful one. But when it's reactive, when it happens before you build any foundation for yourself, it can undermine everything. You become part of the cycle instead of part of the solution.
Yeah, and that's reminding me of a phrase I come back to constantly in this work, and I've also had in one of my latest books as well, is you can't pour from an empty cup. And so taking that phrase and dissecting it, the most powerful thing you can do for your family financially is get yourself stable first. That is not being selfish. That is smart love. Because if you drain yourself helping and then you hit an emergency, now everyone is in the same crisis together.
So, what does doing it intentionally look like? What's the practical version, Andrew?
So really there's three things. First, you've got to decide in advance what you're willing to give. Not in the moment when someone asks, because emotions, and we all have them, take over and you give more than you intended and resent it later. I felt that a few times myself over the years. You need to decide when you're thinking clearly. I can contribute $50 a month and still hit my own savings goals. That's a decision and it's not an emotional reaction.
Second,
Well, the one that we all find difficulty with, be honest about what you can and can't do. We all love our family, and your family would rather hear the truth than have you silently sacrifice your own stability. And so, as a parent myself, Jamil, you're a parent as well. Most parents, when they genuinely understand the situation, don't want their kids to derail their own financial lives to hell.
and the third one is, I think matters the most in the long run. Excuse me. Have the conversation. Actually talk about money with your family. It sounds really simple, but almost nobody does it. Money is the most avoided topic in most households. And that silence is where financial anxiety breeds.
Yeah, and Alex does all three, right? Decides on $50 a month, chosen when thinking clearly, with a savings plan in place, then tells the family about the habit over dinner, which is a good time to have it, unless it's not very good dinner. And the parents start asking questions. And then the younger siblings, right? Betty Louise are listening in, asks how the automatic savings is working for Alex.
Yeah, that's great. That's exactly how financial wellness actually moves through a family, not through lectures, through actual real living examples. Alex's habits spread, not because Alex told anyone they had to change, but because something was clearly working.
Yeah, with that said, that's a great segue to the next slide, please. And let's wrap up Alex's journey here. So let me show you what all three habits look like when someone actually puts them together. And so going back to Alex's situation, so then 6 months ago, paycheck hits Friday. Then, does this sound familiar, right? By Sunday, it's half gone. Alex has no idea where it went. There's a quiet, low-level anxiety that never quite goes away, right? Almost a Sunday scaries in essence, and a feeling of being slightly out of control all the time. Then, a redemption. Then Alex decides to look. And so that 10 minutes that we were talking about, that 1 month of transactions, Alex finds $113 in subscriptions. Two, completely forgot it. So Alex cancels them that afternoon. No budget, no app, no willpower, just awareness. And voila, $113 freed up from looking. So next, Alex starts asking the question. The daily lunch habit gets examined. And so Alex goes, nope, cuts it from 4 days a week to 2. Magnificent. Not because Alex has to, because Alex looked clearly and he decided 2 of those lunches weren't enjoyable. They were just automatic. You get used to it. It's just automatic. So now, $80 a month back in Alex's pocket, just from the one question that we told you about earlier. Well, next, Alex steps up the system, or sets up the system, sorry, $20 a week, automatic. Moved on from that 5, which we talked about, remember, so it's $20. Set on a Tuesday evening, takes 4 minutes, forgotten by Wednesday. And then the family conversation happens, which is a crucial component. Alex decides in advance with a clear head, I'm feeling good about this. $50 a month to the family, chosen, not reactive, no emotions. Alex mentions the savings plan at dinner. The parents ask questions. And then the siblings, again, want to know how the auto transfer works. 6 months later, what does it look like? Alex has $920 in savings, has never had anything close to that. And so Alex's monthly spending makes sense now. It's still not perfect, but it's intentional. And the money leaving Alex's account is mostly leaving on purpose. And I know myself, having these family conversations are tricky at times, and the family conversations, however, are still happening. And his parents started looking at their own subscriptions. And then the younger siblings are paying closer attention to that as well. And that quiet Sunday anxiety, it's not gone, but it's quieter. Not because Alex's income's changed, not because everything is suddenly perfect. It's because these 3 small habits that we just taught you, done consistently, changed Alex's relationship with money. And this is what both Jameel and I, we do for a day job. This is what financial wellness actually looks like. And it's not a number in an account. And it's not a perfect budget, a feeling. And going back to the three C's: control, confidence, and clarity. And so if we can move to the next slide, please, we want to spend this next few minutes really focusing on an action that you can do before we get into some of the questions that we've got waiting for us. And so before we go to the questions, I want to ask you to do one thing following today's call, not three, just one. And if you can do it tonight, it's even better. If you can do it before you go to sleep, even better. So I've got a couple of options that I'm putting in front of you to really be that catalyst for you to be able to start changing the way that your money habits are operating in your life. So option A, track your spending for the next 3 days. And that's not about fixing anything. And it's not to judge anything. And then open your bank account or credit card app and look at the transactions. So have a look at, what you've been using that money for and see where your money actually went. So that's awareness. 10 minutes, that's habit one. If this doesn't resonate with you, then we've got option B. So set up one automatic savings transfer tonight, $5 a week, then 10, whatever fits. Fit the transfer option in your banking app. Set up a recurring weekly transfer to savings, and then close the app and forget about it. And that's what we're calling automation. Set it once, it works forever. And so pick whichever one of these two feels more real to you right now. I can guarantee that both work. And the only wrong choice is waiting until tomorrow. So start small. Stay consistent. And this is how financial confidence is built. Unfortunately, 4 out of 5 Americans are lacking financial confidence. And so one habit at a time, one day at a time, until one day you check your account and the number makes sense. And then you will realize you're not anxious anymore. So I think we're at this point, Jameel, I think we're ready to move on to start asking some of the questions that we're getting pinged. So maybe if we can move to the next slide, please.
All right. So we've got 15 minutes. I want to hear from you. Drop your questions in the chat. We're watching it. While those come in, we pulled a few questions that we hear a lot from people who are exactly in the place you're in today. Andrew, let's start. What if I'm living paycheck to paycheck and there's generally nothing left to save? Common question.
Yeah, nothing left to say. Yeah, so this is what we hear quite often. Our financial coaches hear this quite often as well. So this is the most important question in the room, really. So I'm glad we're starting here, and I want to be really direct. If you're in that situation, the first thing to do is not to save, right? The first thing to do is to look. Again, that big A word, awareness first, always. And because in my experience and our experience, when people actually sit down and go through their transactions, almost every single person finds something. And you'll always find a subscription that you forgot, a category that's bigger than they thought. You can't know whether there's nothing left until you've really seen the full picture. And once you have the picture, even $5 freed up, that magical $5 again, is enough to start building that habit. And in summary, really, the habit matters more than the amount. So start with, again, awareness, and the savings often follow naturally.
So, Andrew, I just want to divert a bit here. We do have a couple of questions that came in, so I'm going to jump to those here. The first one's really just a comment and maybe helpful for some folks on the call here today. Um, Ohio requires a financial literacy course in high school. I didn't know that, so that's good information
Wow.
there.
Yeah.
Um,
And there's a lot of scorecards out across the states to really highlight which states and which schools are providing education, and they're being graded. And unfortunately, there's still, out of a 50 odd states, there's still only maybe 20 odd that are really supporting financial literacy. So we've got a lot of work to do.
Gotcha. Here's a few more. And this is more of a personal question, but should you buy a life insurance policy to cover your family expense in case something happens to you?
Yeah, again, it's insurance is it's eliminating debt and replacing income of, say, a love of, if you're the caregiver, if you're the parent, the mum or dad or so, and supporting the family. It's based on obviously your budgets, but in essence, insurance is that umbrella to protect you during those unfortunate rainy days. So talking with an advisor to talk through, what are the options, doing a needs analysis process to be able to ascertain what levels of cover you need are a crucial process. But, you know, in essence, I used to, years and years ago, be a financial advisor myself, and all I remember was when I had clients and my heart's with them had passed away. Nobody had ever given me back that check. There was always a need to be able to cover those debts and those expenses and replacement of income. So talk to an advisor, do the needs analysis. Study up a bit more on various websites and tools and information that we can provide as well.
Yeah. Thanks. That was a good answer. What are the most common limiting beliefs you hear about money?
Yeah, a lot of people, what I'm hearing, and again, we provide coaching sessions as part of our various financial wellness programs, is a lot of a limiting belief is that I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I don't have enough to start saving or putting money aside, or I'll pay off my mortgage first, or there's always a reason of why there's a challenge to be able to start saving. And that's one we hear quite commonly. And a lot of it comes down to, because again, having that awareness, not having a budget in place, not dissecting, your full picture, you fall into that vicious trap because you're living in essence paycheck to paycheck, as we did have the very first question. And once you are able to navigate that and have that visibility and awareness, you suddenly that belief changes. But that is one, through our coaching line, through my conversations that I have with people, is one which is quite a common concern of people surfacing to us.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. How do you save for a rainy day when you feel like it rains the very next day? I think if I see it, I spend it.
I'm going to put that one back on you. Like you're the pro with talking to people about sunny day funds.
Yeah. For me, and this is a common question also. I think it's really just aligning your money with your values, and really that some of the tools we gave you, really, thinking about what things can I actually, cut out of my budget that I really aren't really using. And I think some sunshine will start to come into your budget once you can actually see clearly what you're actually working with. So that would be my recommendation is really look at your budget, figure out what things you can pull out and what things have to stay in your budget.
Hey, Jamil, I see this one question here. Like I'll jump into it because I'm quite passionate about this one. one question that we did see here as well is my parents handle all the money in our house. How do I start building my own habits when I don't have full control? And I've researched this quite a bit for one of my previous books, but this is such a real situation. And honestly, it's where a lot of financial habits actually get formed, for better or worse. And here's what I'd say to that question. It's a great question. Thank you for sharing it. You have more control than you think you do. I know as kids, like I know my little kids, like they don't think they have much control whatsoever because we tell them what to do all the time. But even in a shared household, so awareness doesn't require access to the family finances. It just requires you tracking your own spending and whatever that looks like right now. So even if it's just your phone plan and your personal purchases, again, going back to that good old intentional spending is what we're talking about here. It's the mindset you can practice on any dollar you control. And automation can start with whatever income you have and a part-time job, birthday money, anything. The habits don't require a lot of money to start. They just require starting and really building your own habits now means you walk into financial independence already knowing what to do.
Great, great. Thank you for that. Another question. I tried to budget before and I always give up after a week. What's different about what you're teaching today?
Yeah, really what you just described, trying to budget and giving up, right, is actually evidence that budgeting wasn't the right tool for where you were. So budgets are a tricky thing, right? So budgets really require constant attention, constant decisions, constant willpower. And as we talked about today, willpower runs out, right? Like we've only got the candle only goes for a set period of time. What we're teaching is different at the root level. So again, good old awareness, I keep bringing it up, is a 10-minute monthly check-in, not a daily tracking exercise. And then intentional spending is one question before a purchase, not a complicated system. You don't want it to be complicated. And automation removes the decision entirely. It happens whether you're thinking about it or not. So none of this requires the kind of sustained effort that budgeting seems to demand. And that's not an accident. It's really these are habits specifically designed for how humans, yes, we're all humans, actually behave, and not how we wish we had behaved. Should I try and pull one out there for you? I think there's one more. Jameel, I'll get you to answer this. How do I talk to my parents about money without it turning into an argument? Wish I did that one at home.
Yeah, this is a good one. Money conversations go wrong when they feel like criticism, right? The moment someone hears we need to talk about our finances, that wall goes up, right? The defenses go up. So the framing matters enormously. Instead of we have a problem, try I've been learning some things that have really helped me. Can I share? And see if they'll bite on that. Come in as someone who found something useful, not, not someone who has defined a problem. And start small. You don't have to solve everything in one conversation. Maybe the first conversation is just, I was going through my subscriptions and I found a few I'd forgotten about. Want to do that together? Maybe that's a good way to start. That's low stakes entry point that can open the door to bigger conversations that need to be had over time. The goal isn't a perfect financial plan coming out of a single dinner. The goal is to start making money something your family can actually talk about.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. And I know we're getting close to time. So before we do our farewells and so really initially we want to really thank everyone for joining us today. This is exactly what our Financial Foundation Summer Series is all about, giving you the tools, the information to help you control your money. But before we part ways, I want to turn back over to Barrett, who introduced us earlier in the call, because he's got some amazing stuff he wants to share with you before we say goodbye. So, Barrett, back to you.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for joining today. Great work, Andrew and Jameel. I think we can all at least take something away from Alex's story and journey, and a lot of the Q&A was really great too. I'll just mention before we jump into this, if you did ask a question in the chat and we didn't get to answer it live, we will reach out via email and try to get all of those questions answered. So rest assured, you will get an answer from us. Everyone will also receive today's deck and the recording via email through the email that you signed up for the call. So everyone will receive both of those items. And you can learn a lot more about the program on the link found on this page 12, right there at the bottom. You'll be able to find a ton of additional information on the Rising Gen program itself on that link. And I also wanted to quickly tee up a couple of our next calls. So on June 24th, the second iteration of the summer series, we'll be going through Investing Basics, the Beginner's Guide with Michaela and Connor. On July 22nd, we'll be going through our goals-based savings. So I think that webinar in and of itself will answer a couple of those additional questions that we got in the chat. I'm really excited for Julie Penwell and Ben Sullivan to tackle that one on July 22nd. And then lastly, on August 19th, Melissa and Tierney are going to go through our credit and debit 101 and start to try and build some confidence around credit and how to safely do that. Not if and if you're a parent, put you all in a good position to talk through that with your kids and that next generation of clients and children. So again, thank you all so much for joining today. Andrew and Jameel, really appreciate all the wisdom and expertise you all shared with us on the call today. Please continue if you have any additional questions, drop them in the chat, and we'll be reaching out via email to get all of those answered. And if not, we really look forward to seeing everyone on the next call. Thank you so much.
Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you, everyone. Take
Thank you.
care.
Bye.
Bye.